I think that Sean Astin is the absolute perfect person for the job right now. My experience working with Sean, I worked with him on multiple Kickstarters.
If you can introduce me, I will buy you a home.
If we're ever in the same place at the same time, I promise you I will introduce you. Both of my parents did get to meet Sean. They traveled down to Memphis in 2016. We had a premiere for our documentary that Sean is our narrator and executive producer on, and I'm a producer and a voice actor on.
Without judgment or shame, the rising and falling tide of America's great river beckons a nation to honor the sacrifice of all her native souls.
And my parents came down to the premiere, and so I did get to introduce both of my parents to my favorite Goonie. So I know you said Rudy. Yeah. Rudy is your favorite movie. Well, I've been quoting Goonies, for 30 years now. And the fact that I can call, my favorite Goonie a friend, as well as Corey Feldman. I have a couple of friends that are Goonies, and the Lost Boys as well.
It's the uncanny experience, right?
Right. And, but Sean, my experience working with Sean is he's so fair. He's so kind. He's very smart, and he's always working on improving himself. He always wants more information. He always wants to make sure he has all sides of the story. He's definitely a great mediator in that he's respectful to everyone involved. One of the projects that I worked on him with, I got to be a project manager for a season of his podcast he did called Vox Populi. It was called Vox Populi, the voice of the occasionally interested people. And it was a political podcast back in 2015, before the world went totally crazy, cray. But the motto of that podcast, he would take callers from, any walk of life, any stripe, any color, race, creed that wanted to call in. But the motto was, if your anger level was above an 8, you were going to be asked to call back. And you weren't going to be part of the discussion. And seeing how Sean works, not just in the industry, but also in his personal life, with his friends, with his family, how he cares for everyone, and his legacy, as not only has he been, an actor since, he was a young lad.
Yeah.
But his mother, Patty Duke, was the second female SAG-AFTRA president in history.
Yes, that I did know.
So he's following in a legacy as well. And when I first met Sean about 10-ish years ago, he wasn't involved in SAG-AFTRA, I don't believe, much at all. Like, he's an actor, obviously, but I got the feeling back then that he didn't quite have a handle on the struggles of the working actor. And I believe over the past decade, he's really become more in tune with that. And a few years ago began serving on different committees and heading different committees at SAG-AFTRA, and became more involved and ran for a few other positions before deciding to run for president. And I did email him a few times over the course of this election, because this was just like 2 months ago. I remember emailing him like the night the votes were coming in, just being like, "You got this," and he's like, "Thanks, from your lips to God's ears," kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But there was no doubt. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to win this election. And absolutely just, he's a great guy. He's a great guy, and someone that you can really count on to at least find out what the problem is and hear all sides and try to come to some kind of intellectual, rational solution that's going to work for everyone. And I'm stoked. I am over the moon. I hope he has an incredible 2 years. Our elections happen every 2 years.
Every 2? Okay.
It would not surprise me if he got elected again, and I'm looking forward to it. I know he's really in the fight with AI and the protections around AI with us actors, with voice actors, etc. And Sean does it all. Everybody knows Sean from his big films, but over the past decade or so, he's also been in some really popular television shows. And what you may or may not know about Sean is he's actually done a lot of cartoon voiceovers in the last decade or so as well.
I mean, one of my favorite films that he's in that a lot of people don't even know of is called The Final Season, where he's a high school baseball coach out in Iowa. I think it's a biopic, actually. Jim Van Skoke, I think the guy's name was.
I
he
have
plays
heard
the
of
part.
this.
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's a phenomenal movie. And I agree with you. Like, he's such a great his range is incredible.
Yeah.
It really is.
To be able to go from child star in the Goonies to Rudy, which I would imagine is at the top, right? Once it came
Lord
out.
of the Rings. I mean, we got Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Let's not forget Lord of the Rings.
Well, Rudy came first, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Goonies came first, but you know,
right, and that's what I mean. So Goonies put him at the top as a child.
Yeah,
and then Rudy put him at the top, like as a young man.
Yeah,
and then Lord of the Rings
as an adult.
Just those three, you could ride that for the rest of your life. But then to be like you're saying, the way he kind of dug in, learned what he needed to learn, and
come on, he was in Toy Soldiers too, man. Don't forget Toy Soldiers
was great. Toy Soldiers was great.
And then Stranger Things was kind of like the big burst onto television with Stranger Things.
Yeah. It seems like he's the perfect person.
I'm really excited. I couldn't be happier that he's our national president.
We're excited Sean's going to do so well.